Selena should be joining me soon. Yes.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. Let me get my book right there.
Okay. Hey everyone, how you doing? We're live on Instagram.
We live, baby. We in this. We in this. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm excited.
Your hair looks great.
Oh, thank you. I managed to get a brush through it.
It looks fantastic. Quarantine looks good on you.
Thank you. The roots, roots.
Yeah. We're going back to this lockdown.
Exactly. Hang on, I'm just going to turn the volume up a bit. There you go.
Actually.
Okay, so I'm here in my writing room. Hello, Lee. How are you doing? Hello, who's here?
We got Elvis.
Lovely. Hello, hello. Hello, you beautiful people.
Oh, there's Shay. Hey, Shay.
Hey, Shay. On, let me put my magic ring. So I know what I'm doing. I say, got my rings on.
Right, the battery's charged.
You look so beautiful. Look at you. It's so good to see.
Stop it.
Hello, you gorgeous thing.
No, thank you. I decided to brush my eyebrows. My eyebrows are going through their own lockdown, completely separate from me. Oh, completely. How are you though?
Sorry.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's a bit like being on a roller coaster. Like, you know, when I have a really good day, then I try and do as much work as possible. And then, because I know some days you just don't want to do anything. You're just staring at the news and just horrified. So I just do as much as I can on my energy days. Because there's others with really low energy and sadness and mourning and frustration and anger and all these emotions. And worried sick. I'm so worried. I'm worried for my friends and my family. And
It's heavy. It's heavy.
Really
this
heavy.
Pandemic has really brought its own set of emotions. Like its own whole new palette, actually, emotions and things to deal with. So I hear you. I saw an interview with Rihanna for Vogue, and she was talking about her sleeping pattern. Someone asked, "What's your sleeping pattern?" And she said she doesn't really have a set structure, but the days that she feels most creative and the moment she feels more creative, she just leans into them. So if it's 3 a.m., 3 a.m. is her new day. So she just go until 7 a.m. and sleep when she needs to. And I suppose when you have the luxury of doing nothing but what your work is, you have that luxury to just create your own pattern. So I'm really with you in leading into the more productive moments of the day, because they don't come often anymore.
Well, and you're just kind of trying to help everyone, trying to look after your family, trying to be there for your friends that are going through their troubles. You know, it's been crazy, but I'm going to do some poems. I've written some ridiculous questions for you. I hope you've written ridiculous questions.
No, I got some ridiculous ones for you as well, but go on, you go first. Really quickly, sorry, to people who don't know what we're doing here.
Introduce it,
We're here for the Own It Festival. Own It is our agency, our literature agency, the best agency. What's your agency saying about what's going on? Because our agency is saying a lot. And we're just here to do a session, a bit of reading, a bit of performance, have a bit of a natter. This whole week there's things going on with Own It Festival, so I'll pin Own It to the bottom of the chat in a moment, and just follow them, follow us, keep up with what everyone's doing. As Shay said, own it, gang. Go on, hit me with a question, let's do it.
Let's give you a question. Okay. So, Sophia, the first question I'm going to ask you is, imagine you're having your dream poetry brunch. You're allowed 5 poets. They can be dead or living. Who would you invite to your dream poetry brunch and why? And also, what would you eat?
Oh, what would I eat? I'll start there. Bottomless mimosas, because it's a brunch. Maybe something light, actually. Maybe smoked salmon, roasted potatoes, sauteed veg. And then for the main, some
Go on.
some grilled lobster prawns, maybe some mac and cheese. I've been cooking African American cuisine recently, so I'm really into it. Maybe some steamed veal as well. It's my new favourite meat. And then for dessert, I'm spending more time on this answer. I can't actually think of poets, but for dessert, some kind of sorbet, maybe a lemon sorbet or a creme brulee.
Something light.
Just a light brunch for 3 courses. Can you tell I'm hungry? But no, poets. So can rappers and musicians count as poets as well, right?
Yeah, if you like. Yeah, sure.
Okay,
man.
cool. Well, then I have Beyonce, Langston Hughes,
Nice.
Toni Morrison, and I have you. How many is that? So that's 3. That's 4.
Beyonce, Langston Hughes, me,
Toni Morrison,
and Toni
Actually,
Morrison.
you know what? I'll swap Langston Hughes for James Baldwin.
Nice.
Yeah, and then my last one, Dead or Alive. Ooh. Let me think. Who would be a really good conversationalist? Maybe Jude. Maybe Jude from Own It.
Oh, Jude's funny.
Yeah, Jude's great at a table.
I love Jude.
Or anywhere.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, Jude. That's a hard question. Most of them is just because I want to meet them. I kind of want to see how Beyonce eats. I'm curious. You don't really see her chewing that often.
Oh.
But I feel like she'd also have a lot to share.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing brunch. I'm really looking forward to it.
I might just host it and invite them.
I'm honoured I get to go to that.
Of course. You're a guest of honour.
Yay!
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So silly ones or book related ones. I got both.
I don't mind. Go on. I'm going to have a sip of wine. I'm a bit scared. What are you going to ask?
You're ready for the brunch already. Okay. You're stranded in a lift. Who are you stranded with? Obama or Trump?
It would have to be Obama.
Really?
There is no way I would want to be stuck in a lift with Trump. Oh, I can't think of anything worse. That would be horrendous.
You say it out loud.
Mind you, having said that, if I was stuck in a lift with Trump, I bet by the time we were saved, he would probably be a poet.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can inspire him. You could just
probably work my magic on.
Give me a day with Trump. Honestly, give me a day. I mean, we hope. But yeah, Obama, I'd love to be stuck in a lift with Obama, just on a normal day.
Yeah, he comes across as a really good guy, doesn't he? Really nice person to be stuck in a lift with.
I wouldn't mind. I feel like he'd be quite hospitable to his lift.
Okay, I'm going to give you another question.
Mm.
What kind of child were you? Were you a naughty child, or were you a creative child, or were you a dream child, or a daydreamer, or what kind of child were you? Were you writing poems as a kid?
I wish I was one of those people that were like, poetry landed on me when I was 6 years old, and I just knew that that point I was meant to be. But I thought I was going to be a rapper actually until quite late in my life. What kind of child I was depends on who you ask. So my dad would say I was troublesome, and in high school I was troublesome. I remember, I think it was year 10, one of my friends, Jack Lawrence, we had a competition one week to see who could get the most attentions, and that's kind of what I was like for that section of school.
I just can't imagine that.
I know, but it was a period. But I was never, like, teachers did love me though. Like, teachers did really love me because I got the work done. But yeah, I was just a bit mischievous. But I think I've just grown into that as well, to be fair. I kind of get paid to do it a bit, so. But no, I wasn't a massively creative kid. I was into sports. I was competing athletics and basketball.
Oh, nice. I was into athletics. I was really into running.
No way.
Yeah. I was really good at running, and then I discovered boys and cigarettes, and it all went pants after that.
How they change, how they go.
Yeah, I know. I was like, running or drinking cider and smoking fags. I think I'll go for the cider fags.
Running's not fun when you put it up against that, really, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. My question.
Okay.
For a day? Oh, no. So you're locked in a room with two people and you get an honest answer from them. So you can ask one question and they have to answer honestly. You're in a room with George Bush and Winston Churchill. What do you ask them? And I'm just feeling off like what I'm seeing at the moment online. But what do you ask them? And they have to tell the truth.
Okay, so I get an absolute honest answer from either Bush or Churchill. Well, at the moment, I'm more scared by America and what's going on in America.
Mm.
So I would ask Bush, who's the head of the how to destroy the family, so that you destroy the scary people that are running Washington.
Oh,
like who's the secret people behind that are pulling the strings?
The shadow people. Yeah.
Selena,
if you ask that, you'll just disappear once you leave the room. We'll never see you again.
I know. I wouldn't like to ask that question. Just in case. Just in
case. It's a good question, though. It's the million question, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so a worky question.
Mm.
Where are you happiest, or where do you feel most content, or where do you feel truest? Alone writing or on stage performing?
I feel like this is the wrong platform for me to tell the truth, but yeah, definitely on stage. I think having that taken away from me during lockdown has really made me realise that I 1000% prefer performing than writing. 100%. I think because when you have a stage in a performance, you know its beginning and its middle and its end. You know you're getting there for the 20 minutes or an hour. But with writing, there's procrastination to take into account. There's getting into creative space to take into account. There's it being good words to take into account. But when you're performing, you've done all of that already and you're just on stage at that moment. So I think, yeah, it's kind of like, actually, no, I was going to compare it to like a guy chasing a woman and which one's better, but I feel like guys like the chase. So that was a terrible analogy. But yeah, probably on stage, 100% on stage. Definitely. What about yourself, actually?
I've really been missing performing for the first sort of February and March. I was kind of it was cold and wintry, so I was very into I'm working on a new book, and I was like, oh, this is kind of what I want to be doing anyway. But then the weather started getting better and better, and amazing full moons and amazing sunsets and sunrise. And now it's June. I'm finding it really difficult. I'm really missing running around. You know what I'm missing more than anything is randomness, like random bumping into people, things that aren't planned. Everything is planned. You leave the house, you got your gloves, you got your it's like, oh, I just want to randomly talk to a stranger. I just want to go to a public toilet and talk to a strange lady and borrow her lipstick and have a chat.
And we probably can't even do that after Corona either. We probably
never
borrow anyone's anything.
How are we going to do that at festivals? You know, when you sort of share someone's bottle of vodka or cider, we're not going to be able to do that anymore.
It's gonna be so bizarre. It's gonna be so bizarre.
Like sharing a cigarette. Sharing is going to change after this, isn't it?
It's everything. Yeah, definitely. I feel like this whole avoiding people on the pavement is going to stay, because I think some people have been waiting to be able to do that, and now it's just a perfect excuse to cross the road. I think that one will definitely save. I know I wrote about this the other day, actually. I was in my garden and I slipped on a piece of wood, and I realised it's the first time that something out of my planning has happened, because I couldn't remember the last time my heart actually went through that. Like, you know, when you just about get into a train, like you're running for a train and you just get in, or you bump into a stranger on Oxford Street, or you're avoiding people on the street, like you have those heart rushes. But you just don't get them in lockdown because you're just going from your kitchen to Tesco. Do you know what I mean? And nothing else. So when that happened, I was like, wow, I miss it. I miss the thrill. I miss the little thing.
Kind of jumping. Yeah. So it's been so strange. Yeah.
After this, I'm going to do an assault course or like climb a mountain. something to just get it going again. My goodness.
Yeah.
I've got a good question.
Okay.
So, 2 books that became films, you have to pick one Only one of them could become a film.
Okay.
Harry Potter or Forrest Gump? Hey, Kosha.
So imagine they're not films.
Yeah, only one can be made into a film.
And which one would I make into a film if I had to choose between those two books and I was a director of a big movie studio?
Yeah, go on then, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a big cigar and I'm like going, oh, well, I think I would probably make neither. No, you have to choose one. Okay, I would probably make Forrest Gump, but then I would make them rewrite it that Forrest is a woman, a black woman.
I've got time for that.
Let's switch it up.
I have time for that. Wow. Yeah. What do you think the quote would be if it was a black woman? You know, Forrest Gump says, life is like a box of chocolates. You pick one, you never know which one you're going to get. What do you think it would be if it was a black woman?
It'd probably be the same, but yeah, and then she's also got guilt of eating chocolate because she's a bit overweight.
Life is like a box of chocolate. Be careful.
Yeah. Or I'd do Harry Potter and make Harry Potter be a woman. I'm so bored of always being boys that are the lead roles.
Yeah, the leads. I know. And I always think it would be so much more interesting if a woman was a lead.
Yeah.
Because women are like, I feel like men always have to resort to force in any kind of film or story. But whereas a woman is not really the obvious thing to go to, we have to like use our brains, and it makes the plot more interesting. As a whole, I think it extends on the plot.
Talking about TV, you know what I watched yesterday? Did you see Homecoming with Janelle Monáe yet?
With Homecoming?
Yeah.
No, Michelle Obama's thing?
No. Homecoming is like a kind of sci-fi thing, and Julia Roberts was in season 1, and Janelle... Yeah, and it's really strong female, and it's so beautiful.
Homecoming. Let me
She's an
write it down.
incredible actress. I love her.
Is it on Netflix?
Sorry?
Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Prime.
On Prime, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I got Prime the other day just to watch
on her this week. Yeah.
Who's this? Janelle Monáe?
Yeah,
she's incredible. I got Prime just to watch Little Fires Everywhere. Got it the other day.
Ooh.
Yeah, and Desperate Housewives. Actually, it was 4 Desperate Housewives, but I started watching Little Fires Everywhere.
Yeah, I did watch it. I kind of felt that Reese Witherspoon was playing a character that you usually see Nicole Kidman play. And I thought that was very interesting because Reese Witherspoon's normally a bit friendly. And she can't that hard kind of Republican figure you normally see Nicole Kidman. So I kept saying, Reese Witherspoon playing Nicole Kidman. That's how taking it from the Nicole Kidman paper. Yeah.
And even Kerry Washington played an interesting role as well. I mean, the last thing I saw her in, she was in the White House demanding the president in Scandal, and now she's, I don't know. I've got a thing with Kerry Washington. Sometimes I love to watch her, sometimes I just can't. But the show itself is really good though. I'm enjoying. I think Nikita's saying hello. Hey, Nikita.
Hey, Nikita. Beautiful Nikita Gill. We love you.
We love you. We love you so much.
Well, we do some poetry. People aren't here to hear of us talking about telly. They're here to hear beautiful poems, my friend.
It's true. Do you want to go? You go.
Me go.
You go.
Okay, I'll start with something nice and easy.
Very formal in your bookshop behind you.
This is my little writing room.
I love it.
I saw Goody Proctor jogging without a face mask. I saw Goody Proctor jogging without a face mask. I saw Goody Proctor and John Proctor walking side by side, holding hands two abreast with devil's breath. I saw Goody Proctor clapping for the NHS. She were too very close to her neighbour, and both without bra or manners. I saw Goody Proctor under the full moon this very week. She was a-gazing up with unwashed hands, naked, unshaved legs, and violet eyes. I saw Goody Proctor and John Proctor, and they were not near home, and they were under open sky sun, and they had 2 whole toilet rolls each in merry. I saw Abigail Williams and Elizabeth Proctor together, and close as devil's breath, with eggy mouth and unwashed knotted hair. And no lipstick and no hand sanitizer. I saw Goody Proctor doing yoga with a black cat, and she did warrior pose. 'Twas the dance of a devil's whore. I saw Goody Proctor have a double Baileys with her breakfast coffee, you know, to take the edge off. I saw Goody Proctor cough once and cough twice and then thrice cough, and her phlegm was the black of Satan's cock, and her droplets made sick all. I saw Goody Nurse be told she be unwelcome, an immigrant of foreign blood. I saw Goody Nurse, unpaid proper, and made to risk her own life for nought but a hand clapping.
I love this one. I love it. 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 You do funny in poetry so well, and it's so difficult. It's so difficult. Is it a conscious thing, or are you just like a comedian part time? What's your of making things funny?
I think I approach really serious, scary stuff, and then I don't know, maybe put a joke in there. Probably, if I was really going to be honest with you, and why be anything else, it probably stems from being a teenager, and that's kind of how I got through school. I kind of, someone's bullying you, you make it into a joke. You know, play clown to bounce off that you're hurting, or bounce off that you're feeling fragile. It's definitely a mechanism of defense, I think. So I think that's why I throw the jokes in. Also, if you make someone laugh, then you kind of make them care. You make someone cry, they've kind of maybe got nowhere to go from there. But if you make them laugh, they start high, and then they listen.
That's
true, maybe.
That's so true. I never thought about that, but it's so true. You make someone cry, they're just upset now. You know, but you make someone laugh. Then
you got to lift them back up again.
Yeah, it makes your job harder. That's so true. No, I like that. I love that. I love that. I love that you're able to do that. I love being able to do that. I love the poem as well. It's timely.
Thank you. Quite a lot of my lockdown poems are coming from Twitter, or untweeted tweets, or unwritten blog, Facebook posts. Then I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And I delete it and then turn it into a poem. There's so many things that I'm ranting about. You sort of see a terrible headline and then that's it, I'm off again.
I mean, I feel like as poets we have such a good excuse to rant, because we can call it our job, otherwise we're just tweeting. I mean, it definitely, putting things in perm definitely makes me feel more justified in my opinions. For sure. Oh no, thank you for sharing that. All right, I'm going to share one.
Okay, turn now to a poem.
I'm going to share one. I'm going to share Fed's actually. So I'm sure you're sick of the poem now. It was one that I did for Jasmine's show.
Oh,
Roundhouse.
And then let's talk about that. Do the poem first.
Good segue. Okay. The other night I lived through a nightmare, and that night it paralyzed me with fear. I dreamt that I was giving birth to twins. I heard the nurse say, "Sophia, they're almost here." Now, I do believe that every child is a blessing, a direct gift from God. But on this occasion, I turned to the nurse and I said, "Wait, please, hold on. My kids are going to have skin like me, stained by the sun's verse. And I know that black has its own magic, but on this land it seems to be cursed. And those that I'll be trusting to protect my twins, it hurts to say that they're the worst. So how do I teach my kids to look past race if they're identified by their race first? Policemen with black heads, intentions to exfoliate. A judge with some phobias prefers magnolias. Missing CCTV, he's innocent, we know he is. A stereotype so deep, you're provoking him. You Pokemon is Pokemon, of course he's going to stick or squeeze you. Just cause to stop and search. You're bluffing, please, we don't believe you. We're forced to teach our young they haven't got a right to need you, or a right to be all right and be black at the same time. Teach our young their black is magic, but it's also a crime. Tell them to act right and be polite, and always keep your hands where they can see them. But the moment the police have seen your pigments, you've already given them enough reasons. So I'm giving the kids a teaching, and I don't mean to be preaching. Only God's words are really reaching, but as you walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Please be aware of these evils. Please be careful of these people. Take your hood down. Don't move too fast. And please don't be too outspoken. And please don't mistake this verse for anger. This is a verse for all the hearts broken, because Lord knows my heart broke when I woke to the news of another mistaken identity. Another one dead earlier than he was meant to be. Another victim of racist abuse. He was a first year just trying to do uni. Hadn't even met his ACS yet. The locals caught him whilst he was moving and asked, "What's a monkey like you doing out of the zoo?" So of course he wasn't approving. He turned to them and asked, "What exactly are you alluding to?" They said, "Alluding. That's a big word for someone like you." He said, "Someone like me." They said, "Someone like you." Before they continued to verbally abuse, they started punching him up, but he started to shove. But they said, "That's not something that you want to do. Because regardless of how this turns out, they're only going to arrest you. So how do I teach my son that he might do no wrong, but somehow his rights will still be denied? How do we teach our kids about racial stigma whilst teaching them to have pride? How do I teach my girls to be strong instead of scared? Teach them that the world loves their magic and they need it to love it through its fears. Teach them that the love they give should be a direct reflection of the hope that lives within them. How on earth are we going to teach our kids about racist men? Well, I will tell her that she isn't burned. It's just that the stars live so close to her skin. So if she bites her tongue for too long, this very earth may cease to spin. I will tell her to write poems along Orion's belt and let constellations spill from her lips. I will tell her that vulnerability is a strength that only the brave have ever felt. And I will tell him why his anger scares me. And I will inform him of the powers that be. Have necessary conversations with him about masculinity and sensitivity, and eventually, unfortunately, I will have to tell him what different looks from the police can mean. Explain that people fear what they can't understand. And sometimes they hate what they can't comprehend. And that red in their eyes is sometimes jealousy as to how the light and the dark is able to exist within your dark skins. My black kings keep rising, keep shining, keep grinding. And my queens, I know sometimes our existence is so tragic, but we can't ever let them man steal our magic. It's weird when you finish a poem on live, because it's kind of like it's just me and you here again.
Oh, I think that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Powerful. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I loved it. It's so
Thank
good.
you. Thank
so
you.
that was the piece that you performed for Jasmine at Her. So let's talk about Her a little bit. Her, H-U-A. And it's produced by Jasmine Kent Rodgman, who's an amazing composer. And the first show was at St. Luke's, wasn't it?
Yeah, St. Luke's Old Street, yes.
That's right.
It was
with
lovely,
London, yeah, it was so lovely, with the London Symphony Orchestra. And then the second gig was, at the Albany.
Yeah.
The third show, and I think maybe the best one, was at the Roundhouse.
That was powerful.
They're going to be sharing that work on Thursday at 10 in the morning on YouTube. And I'm really excited about that. The whole show, because National Theatre and other theatres are loading up plays. So this will be like watching a whole show. So it's like an hour show. So you get your popcorn or whatever.
Yeah, it just sit down.
Then you go to the theatre.
Yeah, put it on the big screen.
Yeah.
And it's going to be incredible. Yeah, I know why Roundhouse was my favourite one personally. I think, one, we were all so comfortable in the set. So it was just really fluid. And two, it was that war chant that we did before going on stage, if you remember. When
the backstage.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, what was that? Some kind of amazing.
It was incredible. I just remember being in a circle and we started chanting, and then Solomon went on stage and just like tore it up.
It was you, me, Solomon, and Kieran, and we just went to some other language.
It was ham. We went ham. Like that was one of my favorite shows. I feel like the bleu in black was just so black.
Yeah.
That show.
Is that what we were? Yeah. that was a powerful moment. I'm glad you remember that. I remember that.
It was.
So that's on. People are asking to share the link. You'll find the link to that in both mine and Sophia's Instagram. Basically, my last post was about that. So that's her HU8, and it's going to be on YouTube as of Thursday, 10 in the morning, and then share away. And it's a fantastic thing with Solomon, OB, and it's Erilyn Wallen. Who else is in it? Kieran.
I think Tanya was playing piano in this one. No, piano, violin.
Yes.
In this one, I think. Who else was playing?
We shouldn't give it so much away, and you have to just wait and see.
Yeah. I'm gonna quickly pin the Own It page to the bottom of this. Oh gosh. Oh, there she goes. Okay. I'll do it after because this. Yeah, it's not.
It's Trixie. So you ready for another question or another poem?
Let's go question. Let's break the mood.
Okay, question. Okay. I actually wrote a stuck in the lift one as well. Okay. Would you rather stuck in a lift with a drummer from a heavy rock metal band who won't stop banging his sticks?
The other person.
Or stuck in traffic in a taxi with a cab driver who won't stop farting and the windows are broken?
Oh, Salena, I don't know. What? But both are like torture. One is torturing your ears. One is torturing like everything else. And you're stuck. You can't leave.
No, you can't leave. So it drumming hand or trumpy bum.
Oh, I wish you never asked me this. I don't know. I don't honestly. I don't. Worse. Because Uber drivers farting in the cab is one of my all-time pet peeves. All time. I just think it's so inconsiderate. I would never do that if I had. You don't do that around people. Just in general. But then drumming. You know what? I would actually say drumming because at least I can breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the cab thing, that's unbearable. Like you can't survive that one.
Yeah, and you can't.
Like, you could vomit. You could be sick. I don't want to be sick in someone's cab. Then they charge you for it.
No.
No way. What would you do?
Oh, I've just put myself in that situation.
Thanks.
Why you live your life like that, Sophia?
I know. The choices I make, I don't even understand them. Yeah, read us a poem.
Me read you a poem. Okay. Okay, this is a poem I'm liking. Do you know the very famous, beautiful poem by Adrian Mitchell, For Whom the Bell Tolls? Tell Me Lies About Vietnam.
No.
No. Okay, so this is it doesn't matter, but this is a salute. It's my favorite protest poems, written in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
Tell Me Lies About Vietnam. And this is I've used the same pattern, and my piece is called Tell Me Lies About Coronavirus. Okay.
Amazing. Okay.
And it's kind of done in that 60s sort of beat poet style.
Amazing.
I was run over by the truth one day. Ever since the pandemic, I've talked this way. So inject my veins with bleach, coat my eyes with banana bread, and tell me lies about coronavirus. I see a world of anguish. I see a world of pain. I'm too sad to sleep, so I'll retweet it all again. So stuff my pajama pockets with grieving. Fill my hands with clapping. Inject my veins with bleach. Coat my eyes with banana bread, and tell me lies about coronavirus. Every time I shut my eyes, all I see are masks and gloves. I can hear the nightingales sing for all our loves. So cram my room with toilet rolls, stuff my pajama pockets with grieving, fill my hands with clapping, inject my veins with bleach, cut my eyes with banana bread, and tell me lies about coronavirus. I smell something burning. I hope it's just my sourdough. They're pushing children back to school now. Watch the terror grow. So tear gas the mourners. Cram my room with toilet roll. Stuff my pajama pockets with grieving. Fill my hands with clapping. Inject my veins with bleach. Coat my eyes with banana bread and tell me lies about coronavirus. Where were you during the COVID rain? I hunkered in my bunker with my veg box and champagne. So chain my tongue with broadband, tear gas the mourners, cram the room with toilet rolls, stuff my pajama pocket with grieving, fill my hands with clapping, inject my veins with bleach, coax my eyes with banana bread, and tell me lies about coronavirus. You put your nurses in, you take your conscience out, you take the human being and you twist it all about. So scrub my skin with sanitizers, chain my tongue with broadband, tear gas the mourners, cram my room with toilet roll, stuff my pajama pockets with breathing, fill my hands with clapping, inject my veins with bleach, coax my eyes with banana bread, and tell me lies about coronavirus, and tell me lies about coronavirus, and tell me lies about coronavirus.
Wow. Woo! Woo!
Great Adrian Mitchell, for whom the bell tolls, tell me lies about Vietnam. If he was here, I'm sure he would write a poem a bit like that, but probably better, because he's amazing. I'm probably one of my favourite poets. So that's a huge salute to Adrian Mitchell. He actually changed the words as the years passed to tell me lies about Iraq, tell me lies about, and it was like, oh, I wish he was alive to write that. So that was with huge respect.
Yeah, but who's respect to you? Can you have another round of applause, guys? Woo! Woo! I loved it. It was so powerful, so powerful. And what, cut my eyes with banana bread, was it? Coat
my eyes. The famous line in the poem is coat my eyes with butter. So there was a whole thing about butter. So I was like, everyone was going on about banana bread and making banana bread. So that was that. Yeah.
That's amazing, because it's like a stamp of time. Because the same way you can read old poetry from Adrian and see the time he was talking about, we're going to be able to do the exact same with the Salena Godden classic. I love it. I'll live for it. I love it. So powerful. So powerful. Oh, thank you for sharing. Wow. I feel so riled up.
I know. It's like a gig, isn't it? But it's kind of strange. It's like I'm sort of in my little room where I do my writing. But yeah, it's good.
Oh, I love it. No, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so
You're
much.
Wow.
I think I really like the idea of taking the form of another poem. That was actually one of my questions for you. So I'll ask that. It was one book that you wish you wrote yourself.
Oh, that's an excellent question. As you see, I've got lots and lots of books. Lots and lots.
Yeah. Oh my, it just keeps on going.
Yeah, lots and lots of books. What book do I wish I'd written? So that's so difficult. That's so difficult. I can't answer that. There isn't a book I wish I'd written. I'm really excited about Mrs. Death. Yeah. I've written that, and that took 5 years. I'll show you it.
Wow. The cover is so stunning.
Thank you.
You posted the cover not too long ago. It took my breath away. It's such a beautiful cover.
Thank you. This is just the proof copy.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, I'm going to be reading from this on Friday as part of the Own It online festival.
Yes, everyone, Friday, be back. I'll be back.
Yeah. But writing that was a great pleasure and a great pain, a great thing. And I wrote it very much in secret for 5 years, whilst also doing working gigs and doing my job. And it's like a little thing that it was to tell myself the story, which I haven't really done before. It was a conversation with myself and a story I wanted to tell myself. Wow. So that was it. Yeah, 5 years. It came from a place of great sadness, and then somehow I wrote myself out of the hole. I don't know how I did that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The beauty of poetry. Wow, I can't wait to read it. I cannot
wait for everyone to read it. I know. It's like it's all finished now. I'm like,
it can go. It's that crazy. What's your favourite moment from starting a book to it being on the shelf, or a year after it's somewhere? What's your favourite moment?
My favourite bit is always it's just between me and no one knows what I'm writing.
Really?
Like, I'm sitting here right now. There's this new poem I wrote yesterday.
Yeah.
And I love it when something's you're the only one that knows the thing. So I'm tempted to give it to you, but it's like delicious that I haven't, and I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
quite
sacred. It's
quite
sacred.
secretive like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. I think when we put so much of our business out there as well, it's actually really nice to just have something that's our own.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
our own, definitely.
there's this poem here stuck on my wall, and that's exactly about that. That I've stuck it on the wall. All you've got to do is care about something, and it's a poem about that, about how you remember when you were the only one that cared about it. You remember when it was your thing, and then suddenly loads of other people like it, and then other people have opinions on it, and other people, if you're lucky, other people talk about it. If you're lucky, people review it, and then suddenly it's not yours anymore.
It's not yours anymore. Yeah.
Their version of it, and you remember when you were the only one that cared about it.
Yeah.
And so you go home and you have a little sulk.
Yeah.
And then you wake up in the middle of the night and you make something new that no one knows. And then it's like,
and then you redo it.
Spider making a web again, you know, making spiders' webs. Then you don't write them for the prizes or the reviews or anyone else's view. You write them because you can make these incredible spiders' webs, and it's so satisfying.
Yeah. I love that. I love that as an analogy, actually, the spider's web. And thank God we can continue to create again.
Yeah.
Thank God we can continue to write again. It's so true.
Spies and catching goodness.
Yeah.
Catching stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Maybe that's what I am, just a big spider lady.
Maybe. If you were an animal, what animal would you reckon you'd be?
Well, I always would have said lion.
Yeah, I would say
Although
lion for you as well.
I'm not Leo or anything. I'm actually Cancerian. What star sign are you?
Born in February, so I think I'd be a Pisces.
Are you a Pisces or Aquarius?
28, so Pisces. But everyone I know who knows about star signs says that they could guess that I was a Pisces straight away.
Oh, my sister is the 26th of February.
Oh,
you're like her. Hello.
Hey sis. You sort of have to detach your. It's funny. I got the book's coming out in America soon, and it's getting reviews at the moment. And when you start getting book reviews, you kind of have to disattach yourself from your own book a bit, because it's your baby, and now suddenly you have to just grow an extra layer of skin in case someone doesn't like it, or in case someone has something. Obviously, art's subjective, and it's beautiful subjectivity, but you just have to I had to create a distance as soon as my book came out. I was like, okay, I can't love you as much as I love you and still be sane for the next year. I need to create a bit of a distance and just remember that art is subjective and it's beautiful in its subjectivity as well.
Yeah, it's so strange. There's often these people that are reviewing you or accepting you or rejecting you. They've never been brave enough to live on baked beans for 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's quite brave to kind of give up, to refute, sort of give up everything and just kind of, mind you, I was very romantic about it in my 20s and 30s. I thought that's what made you a good writer, like really starving.
30s? Salena, how old are you?
I'm going to be 48 this month.
You look like a drop of in their early 30s max. Max. I would call you like 28.
No way.
I would call you 28. Yes, look at your face. Look at your face.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be 48 this month. It's my birthday this month. I think either 48 or 47. I can't remember.
Just go back to 28. You will not stop anyone.
I'm going to be 28.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't want to go back to 28. This is a good age.
To be fair,
I earned my stripes. I got.
I like that, actually.
It's a good place. My 40s have been my best. My 20s were like wild and kind of lost. My 30s, I was more determined, but also in a lot of pain, and it was all a bit scary. My 40s have been my best decade, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad that. I'm glad for that. I feel like 30s might be my best. When I get there. I thought it would be a good decade.
We're both saying that we're happy in the place we're in, which is good, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in my 20s, but yeah, I feel like 30s will be really good.
Yeah.
just my hair will be long.
I like 40s. I think my 20s and 30s I was much more reckless and willing to die, whereas I really want to live.
I love that. It's
I'm really all about living now. Yeah.
There's a quote that said, the moment you stop being scared of turning an age is the moment you understand how to live.
That's beautiful.
Something like that. I paraphrased it.
The moment you stop being... Say it again.
The moment you stop being afraid to age is the moment you learn how to live. Or something.
Well, I think getting older is amazing. I think I'm going to live to 109.
Yeah. You're going to look the exact same. You're going to be on live just looking like this and be like 100.
But like, great. Well, I had a dream once, and it was like my 109-year-old self sitting on the end of my bed.
Wow.
So, and she like shouted at me for like an hour. It was my face, but like kind of really wrinkled and really broken teeth and really, 109. And she just bollocked me for like an hour. And the next morning, for just being too apologetic, not kicking ass enough, not, giving up too easy. It was like this sort of thing. I was like, I woke up the next morning with fire. I was like, right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my, I've got like chills everywhere.
I woke up the next day like I'd eaten a grenade. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's not often. Which brings me to this question. I want to talk to you about magic.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about magic and spells, and I want to talk to you about your intention in your writings. When you're on stage, you're like a player. You're very inspirational. There's a light around you. I see it. You'll see it. So I want you to talk to me about your role of your poetry and your dreams and in your magic and your soul intention and premonitions, and how that manifests in your poetry. Talk to me about your intention. Talk to me about the magic of your words.
Wow, how long do we have? What a question. Okay, my intention with poetry and with anything ever is to bring people close to their softest, their strongest, their most honest, and their most forward-thinking heart. That's always my intention. So if I'm speaking to a child and I'm reading them a poem about puberty, it's so they become more comfortable in their identity during that process. If I'm speaking to an adult and I'm talking about my family's experience with cancer, it's because I want them to find the peace that's already in them and just lead them back into themselves. I think the title of the book, Somebody Give This Heart a Pen, is quite literally my sole intention. It's for people to write themselves back into themselves, or to at least hear what I perform and in that take the journey back into themselves, because we all have that light inside us. We all have this God inside us. Do you know what I mean? We all have this spirit inside us, and a lot of things can stop us from really tapping into it. Distractions, life, people, wrong opinions, the bad parts of our character that we holding on to too much fear. Mostly people's opinions, to be fair, but that gold and that light still lives inside all of us. So I just hope that when I do go on stage, when I do perform, when people do read my book, they can sort of chip away at those layers that block them from their own gold. Because the heart in its essence, like when you look at a baby and you see a baby laugh for the first time, there's nothing like that doesn't die. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't die, that gets covered. That doesn't ever die. That just gets suffocated by life and by age and by time. And there's no reason that we shouldn't at least be able to come back to that state as often as possible. Because I think when we're a baby and all we know to do is to be kind. Or when you're a child, all you know to do is to love, and all you know to do is to give. That should be our default. Like that should be something we're able to come back to all the time. But life just gets in the way of that. So I try to stay soft in everything I do. It means that I get hurt sometimes, but I'm cool with that. Like hurting doesn't faze me anymore, to be honest. Like it happens, but I think So sorry, to answer your question, my intention to keep people soft, to lead people back to the God in them, to the light inside of them, and that can come in so many forms. That can make someone feel empowered, and when you feel empowered, you can do anything. That can inspire someone. When you feel inspired, you can do anything. That can be scaring someone out of their old ways into some new ways. That can be encouraging. That can be teaching. That can be just, there's a lot of poems in Somebody Give This Heart a Pen where I'm telling the story of somebody else. So the story of a kid who's grown up in a family whose parents, the only time he's seen love is when they argue. And that's the most passion he's seen between his parents. And a lot of people, especially when I go to schools and I read this poem out loud, a lot of kids can relate. And I think there's something so magical in being seen. Because isolation it can destroy us from the inside out. Do you know what I mean? Like feeling like we're the only people going through something can really destroy us. So yeah. Sorry, I'm going on, but yeah, just bringing people closer to that.
No, I think it's just, you're just so generous and so kind. It's just a lovely answer.
Oh.
Yeah, I think everyone is. Look at the yeah, that's just such a beautiful and generous answer. It's like, what more can this be about? What else is poetry about, if not to be the humanitarian and to be the giver and to share the light and to look for hope and share. Yeah, that's beautiful.
There's a Baldwin, I think it was Baldwin, but it might not have been, but he said all poets are looking, no, it was Rudy Francisco. He said all poets are looking for the ways that all poets are ever searching for is the habitual ways that we're all connected.
Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, no, I definitely tend to agree. I think we're trying to do that. Should I read a poem? I'm just rambling. I feel a bit awkward now.
Yeah. Okay, read a poem now.
Read a poem. It's getting dark as well. My light's going.
Yeah, it is getting dark.
All right, I'll read. Shall I read a love poem?
Oh, go on then, you big softie.
But don't have many of them. I'm not gonna lie. And most of them are breakup poems. Okay, this is actually. So I was in a museum. Context. I was in a museum when I was writing this book, just looking for it. I don't like museums, but I was just looking for inspiration everywhere. I realized I've got a deadline and I need to write, and I just needed to go everywhere with art. So I found myself in a museum, and there was an old couple in front of me, and I asked them, like, what's the secret? As I feel like I can't be the only person. I know a lot of people do that. I mean, they must, I'm assuming. But I asked him, like, what's your secret? And he just said something so charming. And what he said, I then later read about, maybe a year later. But I didn't know it was a concept. I didn't know it was a thing that some people do. But he said they reimagine where they are constantly so that they never age in their same surrounding. I'm not explaining that well, but the poem does. This is his 1,000 years in 75 with her.
Okay.
Every night, 50 years before we sleep, I asked her what she would like to dream. We connect satin to skulls, nose to nose, and we make only the things able to touch us, our entire globe. I don't ever want to live on a different page to her, not even unconsciously. Before I make my way into the night, I get to hear how magnificent her mind is. We have walked to Venice for lunch with both of our parents, and we've shown them that things can work. We've sat and we've watched our stillborn singing, but in her dreams it doesn't hurt. We have dressed up and danced under the 16th chapel and laid our head to dream in many a king's home. We have laughed into our famous friends' houses, and we've built holiday homes along many coasts. Sometimes in her dreams, we revisit the fight that flooded us both. And she gets sad again, and she pulls me in close. But we have made up in extraordinary places. She loves the story written into the Indian shore. With every year that passes, we head further and further into these dreams. But it softens how far they continue to become from our aging reality. So I think the idea was just dreaming to keep living, basically. Dreaming so we don't age was what he was saying. And I just thought, that's the most charming thing I've ever heard in my life. So I'm going to have to write about it.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So are you going to ask me a question, or I've got to read a poem by you, you've got to read a poem by me?
Yeah, I'm just looking at time because I think Instagram Live cuts off after an hour.
Oh, does it?
I think, which means we're 6 minutes there. We're 4 minutes away from that.
I know. How did we do that? That's
After
amazing.
we always do this, Lena. We just chat
I
sometimes.
know. I know. Let me finish with this poem.
Cool, cool.
This is my new poem. The poem's called While Justice Waits.
Why what, sorry?
While, sorry, it's called While Justice Waits.
Amazing.
It's a brand new piece, and there's music that's been written for this by Anna Phoebe. We'll be releasing that soon, and it just goes like this.
Oh, sorry. Tell us about your EP as well, really quickly before. I'm just thinking in case it cuts off.
So my latest work is on an EP called the Lockdown EP. The Lockdown EP has a picture of me basically with a piece of paper on my head, trying to look like Goody Proctor, and so you can't miss it.
I love it.
And the Lockdown EP, 50% of profits go to the NHS, not just for PPE, but also to help with their mental health issues and things like that. So 50% of every single download is digital only, and it's on Nymphs and Thugs. Also, Pessimism is for Lightweights is out now, but it's available as an ebook for the first time. So it's only in paper for all this time. So now if you can't get it, you can find it on the Rough Trade Books website, the ebook or the paper book.
Amazing.
I think I've done my plugs.
Amazing. Okay. So the EP and the ebook.
So the book, but you'll see all that on my website. Actually, I've been really good at updating my website. If you go to my website, selenagodden.co.uk, I've put a whole bunch of charities on there, ways to help all the things, ways to help what's going on in America, ways to help what's going on here in England. I've just there's a massive list, and also a massive list of artistic things and art things that are happening where people are trying to raise money and trying to raise awareness. Please go to Waiting for Godden, as in not waiting for Goddo, Waiting for Godden. So it's www.selenagodden.co.uk, and I've written a whole massive list of all the different places, and you can help if you can afford to, and if you can't, other ways that you can help. If you've got no money in your skin because you're not working because you're stuck indoors and under lockdown.
Thank you for that. Amazing. Live has just told me, I don't know if you can see it at the top, but it's saying 1 minute 50 remaining.
1 minute. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't think I've got time to do a poem. You'll have to catch me on Friday. I'll be
I like that.
Live reading from Mrs. Death on Friday. We can see me then. So I'll be doing Friday, and it's my first time ever reading from that book. When's your next thing? What's going on with you?
I'm going to be here on Friday watching you is the next thing I'm going to be doing on Instagram. I can't wait.
Remember to save your session, Sophia. That's what.
Okay, cool. I'll make sure. I should have space, but if not, I'll just post it and then download it again somewhere else. But yeah, no, I will. What have I got next? Nothing. It's lockdown. Like I haven't really got much going on until it ends. So.
Oh, I can't wait in real life, but this has been so lovely.
Yeah, I love speaking to you. Thank you very much for just sharing your evening with us, everyone who's here.
Thank you. And anyone, if you want to know more about the Own It, go to ownit.london. If you want to know more about the events, it's a week-long festival, Own It online festival, and there's just an amazing plethora of events and talks and poets and good stuff and books.
Yes, all the books. All the books.
Okay. All right. I love you. Thank you.
I love you,
Sophia. I really enjoyed that. Pessimism is for lightweights.
Pessimism is for lightweights. Tell them again.
For lightweights.
I love it.
That poem.
We've got 20 seconds left. We should just ride it out. Really? Should we sing?
Should we sing?
Maybe.
Pessimism is for lightweights. Pessimism is for lightweights.
Woo! Pessimism is for lightweights. 2 seconds, peace.